Hello, my name's Andrew, and welcome to another weekly devlog video. So this week's devlog video is going to be very similar to last week's, since the only thing I've been working on is building up this new level. So unfortunately, since I lack a lot of video editing skills, or really, I don't feel like going into a video editor and cutting things up, I'm not going to show like the full tiled editor where you can actually see all the elements. Maybe next week's devlog video I'll do that, since that really shows all the work that's been going into this new level. But for now, I kind of prefer just having the game open and then me just talking about it. But like I said before, all the work that's done the last week has just been on just continuing to build up the level. This one is taking a bit longer compared to the platforming demo. In the platforming demo, number one, the level itself is a little bit smaller compared to this level that I'm building. I'm really trying to experiment on, well, having a bigger level of more varying experiences. In that first demo, obviously, it's the platforming demo, so it's only going to have platforming elements to it. In the combat demo, in spite of its name, it won't just have combat elements, but it's going to also have those platforming elements as well. It's still not going to fully 100% represent what I plan to do in the actual game. It's going to be, I would say, 80% there. Similar to that last level, I didn't really aim to have a specific identity for this level. And what I mean is, when I start doing the actual levels, each level, in terms of its platforming and enemies, is going to focus on one particular aspect. In this combat, platform demo, I kind of mixed together a lot of different ideas, since I really just want to try things out, build something up, throw a lot of different ideas into the same space, and then have people play and get some good reception. And then, based off that reception, actually build up the levels that I'll eventually, want the game to actually have. But since last week, I added probably a good, maybe like 3/4. It's nearly finished. There's really just maybe less than a fourth amount of space. I can't say exactly. I regularly post like snapshots or screenshots of the tiled editor to kind of show the progress with laying down the tiles. Obviously, I still need to go over and actually put the graphical elements, but I spend quite a bit of time just trying to think through, like, alright, where do I want the tiles? Where do I want the enemies? Where do I want the, what I call the movement resets that help expand upon the platforming aspects of the game? I'm not going to go over any of the specific platforming mechanics in this video, since I already have a video where I go over that. But I guess for now, in this video, I'll just play a little bit of the level. One thing that I did fundamentally change is I'm trying to break out of my shell when it comes to doing animations or some form of art. For the longest time, I've been trying to stay away from doing too much art, since my art isn't great and it stands out. Even now, a well-trained eye can probably see that, this animation here looks a little bit not as smooth as it could be. And that's because I actually modified the sword swinging animation such that it actually is a lot bigger. Another thing that I changed is that when you swing, you do a downward swing, and part of the reason was that the downward swing just has a bigger hitbox for enemies that are on the ground, and that feels a whole lot better when you're fighting a lot of slime enemies specifically. The upward swipe, it does work for enemies that are upright, but it almost makes more sense to have the third strike be that upward swipe, just because the third swipe is what launches enemies into the air. So that was one kind of fundamental change. And I think that helps the game feel a whole lot better when it comes to landing hits. So, over here, kill that slime. Watch out for that guy. So the trick here in this level is that You don't want to touch the slimes. Oops. So I'm not doing so good right now, but yeah, that kind of demonstrates how it works. And you go up here, jump up here, and then this is where you get introduced to the goblin enemy. So really simple. Come down here. And yeah, so obviously I can continue going through the level. Like I said, this level is dramatically much bigger than the first demo level, which was just the platforming. So I'm gonna be really curious to hear people's thoughts on in terms of like size. I don't plan on having a lot of levels in this game unless like I get really good reception and people just want more. But my expectation is that the reception is not going to be super overwhelming or anything, and I do want to get to the point where I have this game wrapped up, and then I can start working on my next game, which is going to incorporate a lot of the same platforming mechanics. My ultimate goal is to make like a full-size like platformer art with RPG elements. One of my biggest inspirations is Celeste and Hollow Knight. I'm not actually a huge fan of Metroidvanias, right? But I do enjoy that, like the style of like combat and like the environment and atmosphere. And I just also love precision platforming. So something that I'm really working towards, but I'll definitely not have all those different ideas and elements in this game. This game, I'm actually trying to keep things relatively simple. That way, feature creep doesn't just completely bury any chance of this game being complete. But I think for now, that covers... Well, that actually doesn't cover everything, but I don't think I'll have enough... I don't think I'll have a lot to say until, I have this, demo level released, which the plan is in the next 1 or 2 days or so, I should be done putting down, like, the tiles. And I guess I'll just work my butt off over the weekend just doing the graphic elements. I'm hoping at the very least I can have... Again, this might be pushing it, right, since... I tend to like overestimate my ability, especially when it comes to doing like all the artwork, right? Because like in my mind, it's just like, oh, just put down the tiles. It's very easy peasy. That'll just take a few hours, and then I go to do it, and it ends up taking a few days, and then a few weeks. But I'm gonna give myself the goal that not only will I have all the platforming elements and all the enemies down, but I'll also have at least the first set of tiling or visual tiling down. So that's not going to include, like bushes or a lot of the little decorations. I'm going to at least try to have, the backgrounds figured out, and then also have, the tiles for like the ground and walls figured out. But we'll see how far I get. But until then, thank you to those who took the time to listen to me ramble for 8 minutes, and I hope you guys have a nice week.